Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us today for our monthly Pressfeed webinar. We appreciate you giving us the time of your day to come and spend a little hour with us, learning more about digital PR and online newsrooms. So today we're going to be talking about what should be in your newsroom and why it should be there. And I just need to get this to move and we'll be in business. There we go. So here's some information about where people are getting their news, and I'm sure this is no surprise to any of you. Over 50% of people learned about breaking news via social media rather than other official news sources. And 46% of people get their news online at least 3 times a week. I'm not sure how many of you are still getting the newspaper, but few people are. Most of us are getting our news online, and this has been a really big change for the whole media and news business. The fact that the internet is providing us with news, that we can go online and get our news online, has meant that the traditional media and traditional journalism has had to change the way they do business because they're losing their audience. And this year, for the first time, online news revenue has actually surpassed print newspaper revenue. So for a long time, the traditional media was a bit iffy about this whole internet thing and was like, well, it's fine, but everybody wants it for nothing and we're not making any money. So they weren't quite sure which way to turn because they weren't making money in the traditional either, but they weren't making money online. And that actually is changing. So they are now making money online, and it's only then going to go more and more in that direction. So where are people getting their news? As you can see, just about 60% are still getting it from TV. Newspapers are way down. Social media is about 30%, and if you break that down, interestingly enough, a lot of it on Facebook, then Twitter, then YouTube, then Google+. So for all the talk that Google+ is useless, I don't think so. Now, Pew Research is a really reliable source of information about what's happening in the media and happening in journalism. And every year they write the State of the Media report. And these are the 2 statements that they've made recently. In the last 10 years, the one factor that most impacted news was search. And that makes perfect sense because we can go online now and we can find information and news from any source in the world. I don't have to read the LA Times only anymore, or maybe buy the New York Times and that's it. But if I wanted to know what was happening everywhere in the world, or if I liked the idea of having different viewpoints, what could I do? Go down to the newsstand and spend a couple of hours there reading all the things I could find, and after a while they'd really get cheesed off with me and throw me out? Or buy all those newspapers? It's not viable. But now we certainly can. You just go to Yahoo News, you can read anything you like from anywhere. So search absolutely has impacted the business of news. So that's one thing that you need to pay attention to because that's how people are finding their news and their information. And if you're not optimizing every single piece of news content that goes out the door for search, you are making an enormous mistake. You are leaving earned media on the table. It's not only that journalists are searching for press releases, and who knew there would come a day when journalists would actually be looking for our press releases. All those years when we were calling, faxing, emailing, and begging them to read our press releases, here they are online and they're searching for news releases. Bit of a change, that. But Pew has also said that in the coming decade, the one factor that's going to most impact the news business will be the sharing of news. So that's the next thing you have to be concerned about. You have to make sure that all your news content is search friendly, it's tagged, it's going to be visible, the journalists can find it easily, the public can find it easily, and now you have to make sure that everyone can share it as fast as possible and as easily as possible and in as many places as possible. So this is from a survey that's done every year by the Oriella Group, and it's called the Digital Journalism Survey. Pardon me, this is the 2012 Digital Journalism Survey, done all around the world. And this question was, on which format do you have the largest audience? And you can see in the rest of the world it's kind of 50-50, still traditional and online. But in North America, the game is over. It's more than 2/3 are online. So your audience for news is online. The media's audience is online. That's where they have to put their news. It's all being found on websites and news aggregators. So that's where they have to put most of their news. Now that makes a very interesting change in the news business, because for all those years when I was teaching public relations at the university level, one of the things that we would teach as a PR 101 was you need to know the deadline. What deadline is the journalist working on? There is no deadline. It's gone. Every second is a deadline because it's online. It's a 24-hour news cycle. When a thing breaks, it gets published right now. And if you miss it, somebody else does it, and then it gets tweeted, and that's it. It's over. It's done. So all these media outlets have websites. Newspapers, radio stations, TV stations, magazines. It doesn't matter who they are. They now have a website because the majority, by far, of their audience is getting the news online. So they have to have a website, and that these websites, as I said, have this unbelievable appetite for content. You cannot put up a website, particularly a news website, and just say, okay, well, I'll put up a new thing tomorrow morning. Here's my issue, like you used to do. Many of the journalists that were on a daily newspaper, and at the time, they would stress over having one deadline, say, at 5 o'clock every day. That used to drive them to drink, you know, and they would, oh my God, this deadline is sorry, we're under deadline. They go now, oh my God, I wish I could have those days back again. Because now, as a thing happens, it's got to go up. People have become so used to the idea that when they go online, the very latest thing that happened a second ago will be available. And of course, it can't only be available on their website, it has to be available on every single device. It must be on tablets and it must be on phones, because we're all walking around with this little device in our hands that does everything bar make coffee and put us to sleep at night with a lullaby. We really have to make sure that everything is available on all formats. So this is kind of my viewpoint of what a journalist looks like today. He has to be this one-man band. He has to have a camera with him that can take stills and video. He has to have his own lighting connected to the camera. He has to have a really good microphone that can connect to the camera. He has to have a laptop. He's got to have editing capabilities. He's got to do all the stuff himself. I found this picture labeled NPR's one-man newsroom. This is what the journalists are, this is how they're working today. And they're under a huge amount of pressure. Jim Brady, who was formerly the chief editor of the Washington Post, who was on our last webinar last month, he said that traditionally, like, 5-10 years ago, you would be a print journalist, you would go out and you would do a story and you would come back. And the question that often got asked was, do you have a picture? Do you have a picture? He said the question now 100% is, do you have the video? So the visuals are becoming incredibly important. And the reason for that is because visuals increase views. Videos are shared 12 times more than links and text posts combined. Photos are liked 2 times more than text updates on Facebook. Now, this was done on press releases, but the same thing applies to news stories on news websites. If there's a story that's text only and you add a photograph, you will get an increase, 14% increase in views. Add a video, it'll go up by 20%. Add a video and a photograph, it goes up by 48%, big jump. And then put more things, put image, video, download, PDF, audio file, graphics, charts, pies, infographics. You can get as much as 77% increase in the views. And all these media websites are watching their analytics like little hawks. And they're really doing a good job in seeing what content is working. So they know this, and this is why they want all this visual material. And that's why the editors are then pushing to the journalists, where's the audio, where's the video, where are the graphics? And the journalists are under so much pressure. This is where the opportunity comes in for you to become a resource. Because look at the gap that we have at the moment. This is the survey that we did. We do it every year, but these are the results from the 2012 Online Newsroom and Media Relations Survey. So on the left here, you have what the journalists and the media, their responses. 52% of them say it is very important to have images. 28% say just important. So with important and very important, you put them together, that's 80% of the journalists. And I'm surprised that it's not more than that, because every single journalist I've ever spoken to or heard talking at a conference does say, if you have images, great images, at the ready, easy for me to take and use, it will significantly increase the chances that I will use your story. Now, when we ask the PR people, what do you think is important to a journalist? Only 4% of them said they think that visuals are very important to a journalist. And yet 52% of the journalists say it's very important. So somehow we're out of touch here. And only just over half of us are even offering image galleries in our newsrooms. We really need to make sure that we are delivering what's needed and wanted. If we want media coverage, we need the earned media coverage. We have to supply and service these journalists with content that they can use. When it comes to video, 75% of the journalists say that they need access to videos. 86% of all media websites are using video, and it's going up every year. We're getting close to 100% now. Excuse me, 10% of those media websites used video that was produced externally in 2011, and it jumped up to 30% in 2012. And that kind of jump, which is like a 20% jump in 1 year, and it's going to be the same kind of thing again next year. And very soon you'll see they have to, because they need the material. TV stations have the ability to make these videos, but radio stations, newspapers, magazines, they do not. And some of them are getting into the business. Our local NPR station here in Pasadena is KPCC. They already have video journalists reporting for their radio station, because online it's not a radio station, it's a website, and so it can do video. And 17% of the media websites are already using externally produced infographics. Same reason, they don't necessarily have the resources to do it. So if you are putting out a story that's about research or financial information or some kind of a study or survey that you did that's going to have a bunch of data in it, present it visually. It's the kind of thing that's going to get picked up. And then we did see that already adding all the visuals will give you a 77% increase in your views. On the side of what are companies doing right now, only 43% think videos are important to journalists, and 38% think a video gallery in a newsroom is important, and only 32% have a video gallery right now. So if 86% of them want videos, and only less than a third of us are even offering videos, there's a huge opportunity there. If you get in first and create a newsroom and create content that has all the value that the media wants, you can pitch that to the media and they will use your material, as you can see. So these are all the things that you should have that will help you to become a resource for the media in the current climate. You have to be able to have a place on your website that is a one-stop shop that has everything that they would be looking for. A journalist under this kind of pressure is not going to go and search all over your site to find your media pages. And believe me, I've had to do that on many a corporate site. I'm beginning to figure out where they are, but that really isn't the issue. You should have something front and center, easy to find, should say media, news, press, whatever you like, but they should be able to see it right away. Journalists and bloggers don't have much time. And you can be running your latest news right on the home page so that they can see it and they can go there. You must offer images and videos and graphics. And then this is a thing that journalists and bloggers have started asking for in the last year or 18 months. It's called an embed code. It is a piece of programming code, but it's not difficult to get. When you put an image, beg your pardon, when you put a video into either Vimeo or YouTube or maybe one of the branded players like Veepal, they will all generate this embed code. So you could say, well, if it's there and it's on YouTube, why don't the journalists just go there and why don't they figure it out and why don't they go and get it? Because it's not immediately visible on YouTube. It takes 3-4 clicks to get it. And because the journalist is under so much pressure, they're just not going to do it. If it's not immediately visible on your site, A, that you have videos, and B, here's the embed code, they're just not going to do it. So you need to do it. You don't have to learn to be a programmer, but you do have to have a system that will allow you to put your videos into your newsroom with the embed code so that when a journalist or a blogger comes there and they want to use the video, it's literally copy, paste, click, done. You need to link to all your social content, put your blog posts, your Twitter feed, can all go there, and then make it dead simple to share it all. One click should log them straight into their account, and it's all pre-populated, very easy. They just go click and they've tweeted whatever they wanted to do. You must have press contacts. I am astonished that I still go to newsrooms today of companies that are like on the Fortune 500 or the Inc. 5000 list, and they have press releases and there's no press contact name. Nowhere on the site, nowhere on the press releases. You need to have your exec bios. Probably you have a management team with exec bios section under the About Us. Then at least link to that from your newsroom or put them in the newsroom as well. That Oriella journalism survey that I showed you on a little few slides ago, one of the questions they asked was, what is your #1 source for information from a company? And in 2012, it's experts, credible spokespeople and experts. And the Global Trust Barometer that gets done every year by Edelman, again, academics and experts are considered to be the most trusted source for news. So it's really important that you put together, if you have experts in your company, and I believe that every company does have experts. You have experts on your product. You have experts on your industry. So create an expert database, because the journalists are looking for that, and that's who they're going to for their quotes. You can also put together your news releases in such a way that you have quotes readily available for them to use. One of the things that's very, very necessary is you need to be able to tag everything, and you need to make that into a tag cloud. I'm going to show you all these items in a minute, but I just want to run through them. And then you need news feeds so that everything is being fed out. And people can subscribe to your news right away. And then you can link to other materials, such as analyst coverage. You can have an event calendar, and you can have media coverage. So those are all the things you should have. Let's take a look at them. When you're in, it can all be on one central content hub. This is what your newsroom should look like. It should look like a news site with everything on it that you need and that the journalist needs. So you start off with a custom URL, one that's really simple for them to understand and to use. So for this company, David Lerner Associates, theirs is news.davidlerner.com. Marcus Hotels has chosen media.marcushotels.com. So here's the section of the latest news. This is for Newport Beach, the city of Newport Beach in California. You need a way to very easily be able to control and add your own content. There is nothing worse in this kind of a fast news cycle to be dependent on a webmaster or your IT department. The IT department has other goals and priorities, and so they should. That's what they do. They don't do PR. And so when you come to them with a press release, or you want to change somebody's photograph and it's very important, it's not important to them. They don't kind of get that. And so you then get put in the queue. But as a marketing or a PR person, you should have absolute control over your content. So you need to have this kind of content management system where you can get into the back end, and with just one little click, you go, I want to add an item. And then you can put the content in here, and then it's just like you're working in a blog or you're working in Word. And you can see here you can add a link, or you can add an image, you can add tags. And then you have your multimedia gallery, and you can add anything that is already in your multimedia gallery straight into your press release. You have to be able to connect to all your other social content. And you should be able to control that as well. If you have a new social content, like many people are now recently adding Pinterest, you should be able to go into the back end of your newsroom and in 2 seconds go, I want Pinterest on my newsroom, boom, boom, click, click, that's it, done. So this is how you would do it. You go to the links section. If you look up here on the top right, there's links. Then you go to add a link. You would put in the title, Pinterest. You would put the URL of where your account is. You'd say this is a social media link. And then down here in your multimedia files, all the icons are there. So you would just go and look for the one that says Pinterest and hit enter, and it will show up. You need an image and video gallery. They will show up on the home page of the newsroom, and then you would click See All, and it would go into the gallery. And once you're in the gallery, it will show all the videos with the URL link and the embed code. You can see it there, a little piece of code. And it's very easy to put this in there. Again, you can see it, the embed code. So here's how you put it in the back end. You click Multimedia Gallery, say I want to add an item, put in the title, the description, the URL of where it lives. You would change the type if it's an image, or you can drop it down. You can add videos, slide decks from SlideShare because they will make an embed code for you. You can add documents, you can add PDFs, whatever you want you can put in here. And then you tag it all, so it gets found in search more easily. And as I say now, once these are all in your multimedia files already, while you're doing a press release, you can just pick the video or the image, and you can pick more than one. You can have multiple items. There's the instruction, just how you do it for PC and for Mac. And then they show up. Must have press contacts. Now the one that you're looking at on the left is from an agency. They use our newsroom, Olson Communications. They've got a whole slew of people. But if you are a smaller organization, you may have only one person. But you must have it there. So this is the section where you add your contacts. And as you can see, there's a lot that you can add. You put in the name, the company, all their contact details. You can put in their Twitter feed if you want to. And then you can do one of two things, or both if you want to. You can put in a URL to their full bio page. So you can just link. If you have a full bio page somewhere else, you can link to that bio page. You can put in their image. You can say what kind of contact are they. This particular one is an executive contact. And then if you wanted to put more bio information right in the newsroom, you can actually put it in here under additional information. And then if you have images that you want to use with this contact, if that image, you put it already in your multimedia file, you just click it and there you go. So this is where you would build your expert database, would be using these contacts. So when we get to the sharing part, that sharing is going to be the most important thing in the next 10 years. What we've done is we've taken the major ones and separated them out. So we've got Google+. Whether you think Google+ is important or not is irrelevant. Google thinks it's important. So if for no other reason, the fact that it helps your search visibility of your news, you should definitely be making sure that other people are sharing your news in Google+. Facebook, Twitter. The next one is StumbleUpon, which drives more traffic consistently than many of the others. And then Pinterest, which is growing like crazy. And then there are a million others, as I'm sure you're aware. So we have the Share This as well. Now, Share This will allow you to share it in many different places. There are so many. Whatever you could think of to share, it's in here. And then we have all the content that's in your content categories, your news categories, are connected to a feed. So everything that you put in gets syndicated through the feed. That means that it gets seen faster by the search engines, and you can do traditional media relations outreach to the journalists and bloggers that you want to work with, that you feel would be good for covering your industry and your news, and encourage them to subscribe to your feeds. And we have seen people do this and have tremendous success with it, that within 3, 4, 5 months, they have so many of the journalists on their feed that as soon as they put something in the newsroom, they do see it getting picked up and covered. And it's such an easy subscribe method. As you can see here, you can either subscribe through an RSS reader, or if you're still very traditional, you can subscribe via email as well. So we provide all ways for people to do it. Tagging is one of the things that journalists have really emphasized that they find important. Because if you do not tag the content, it's much harder for it to be indexed in search. If you're tagging stuff, then it gets indexed correctly and it's easier for the journalist to find it. So what happens is this little bit of it will show up on the home page of your newsroom, and if you click more, this is what you get, the full tag cloud. And this is what you're writing about. It tells people what you're writing about. And the size of the word is how often you use that term. So this one will tell you that they write about Newport Beach a lot. Obviously, it is Newport Beach. California, live music, Orange County, and events are the main things. Now, it also serves a couple of other purposes. It can be used as a search function. So if you were looking to see what kind of live music content do they have, you would just click live music, and it will bring up every single article or press release tagged with that phrase. So you can use this in many different ways. Let's say you're a nonprofit and you have a bunch of different programs. You can tag every press release about a program with that word. And then it's easy for a journalist or a blogger to find everything you've ever written about that. Or if you have regions, you can do it like that, tag it with the region. It works really well for that. Now, it also is incredibly good for search. So here's another one. This is a company that does pavings, waterscapes, big landscaping jobs, that kind of thing. And one of their content buckets and their feed is called Paving Stone Ideas. So that comes up in their tag cloud. When you click it, there's a whole bunch of articles about paving stone ideas. And we chose that particularly because we had done some keyword research with them to find out what kind of phrases people search relative to their industry and their content. So that's how we came up with Paving Stone Ideas. We know people search it. We have produced content on that, or they have produced content on that subject, and it's all in the newsroom, and it's tagged, so it comes up in one page. Here's the page of Paving Stone Ideas, all the different articles about Paving Stone Ideas. Of course, this page is very search-friendly because it's very focused on a subject. Now, when you go to Google and do the search for Paving Stone Ideas, number one, above the images, and number two, just below the images, are both their newsroom, and they are the links and the feed of Paving Stone Ideas. So you can see that this newsroom, when it's done correctly, also gives you a lot of search visibility. So if there was somebody now, a journalist was looking, or a blogger looking to write a story about Paving Stone Ideas, they're going to run right into this newsroom first thing. And you can also put story ideas into your newsroom. These are from two different newsrooms. One called it Press Information, the other one called it Story Ideas. So every time they have an idea they think would be good, and they're going to put a press kit up about something, you can put that in your newsroom as well. You can pull in all your other social content. If you're blogging, it's very easy to pull in the blog post into the newsroom. The whole idea is that you are producing a news page about your company. This is a one-stop content hub, because when a blogger or a journalist comes to your site, that's where they're going to go to look. And they want everything spoon-fed right here, right now. I don't want to have to think about whether or not you have a blog. I don't want to think about whether or not you have a YouTube channel. I don't have time to go and look to see if you have a YouTube channel. I don't have time to see if there are embed codes. If you have all this right here, right now, the chances of me using that content is significantly improved. You should have an event calendar so that perhaps if there are places where your experts are going to be speaking, or you're hosting an event, or you're showing up at someone else's event, very easy. You go to the back end, click on events, and again, it's just put in the title, the description, and away you go. That's how you do it. You can add media coverage. Journalists want to know who else has been talking about you. So one thing that you can't do is you can't take the material that's on another media website and put it in your newsroom. But what you can do is put the title, the little snippet, and when you click this link, it doesn't go to the, you don't take the article and put it on your website, you link to their website. So here you click on news coverage, add an item, you go title, description, image, and link, and that's it. And then it goes to the newspaper or wherever. So if this is what your newsroom looks like, which having just looked at 300 corporate newsrooms in the Fortune 100, the Fortune 500, and the Inc. 500, I'm very depressed to say that this is what an awful lot of newsrooms do look like. But it just doesn't do the job anymore. So if your newsroom still looks like this, then I would really encourage you to think about using all these new tools. And your IT department or your webmaster certainly can build all this for you. It isn't going to be easy, though, I have to say. There are tools that you can use to build it, but it's going to take a while, and you're going to have to do all the research to figure out what should be in it and where it should go and how to do it. The point of having a hosted newsroom is that all that heavy lifting has been done for you already. So this is what it should look like. So you have your social connections, your feeds, your sharing, your press contacts, all your content down the center in categories, images, videos, tags, events, Twitter feed, blog posts, everything in one place right away. Another thing that we can help you with is you should be doing monitoring of what's happening with all your news. We install Google Analytics with a newsroom. But if you have a dashboard, and the one that we're using is provided by NetVibes, and we can assist you with your NetVibes dashboard if you want to do that. But I would recommend that you do so that you know where all the content is going and how it's doing and how it's performing and who's talking about you. And it helps you to kind of contain everything and manage what's going on and keep it all in one place so you don't have to go and do 50 different things. So if you look at the Google Analytics, it will tell you things like how many visits did you get, how long did they stay on the site, how many pages did they visit. And then Google Analytics now also has social reporting, which you'll see on the right here. So you can see where is your, where's your traffic coming from social. And it also has this, which is your social visitors flow, which is very, very interesting. So for instance, on this one, you can see that on the LinkedIn visitors are going to many more pages than any of the others. This is where you would set up what you want to track. So for Pressfeed, I'm tracking online newsrooms in Google News, in Yahoo News, and in blogs, and in Twitter. And the nice thing about this is you can also set up your own Twitter account in here. So while I'm watching this Twitter feed going by, if I see something that I want to reply to right away, I don't have to go out of this dashboard and go to my Twitter feed or TweetDeck or whatever it is that I'm using. I can do it right from here. I can just tweet back straight away. So it's just some other little thing that we can help you with. And if you have any questions, if you would put them into your chat box. Let me just open my little chat box again. There is a place where you can put questions in, or you can just put them into the chat box, and then I will be more than happy to answer your questions. So otherwise, you can always get hold of me. So there's my email address. Let me just get these things here. Yes, the webinar will be online in probably about a week. We are recording, and it does take us a little while to kind of get it together. So 1 second, I just want to see these questions. Yeah, you will all be, everyone who registered will get the link to, what we do is we wait for GoToWebinar to, whatever it does, convert the video, and then we have to do things with it, and then we put it in our newsroom, and I'm going to be away for the next 3 days, so it'll be next week sometime. But usually just give us a week, and then we will send an email to everyone who registered, and we will then, we will let you know right away. So there's a question on how do you handle dead links. Like, for instance, you link to something on a TV station, and then it's not there anymore. So with your media coverage, you can summarize it, and you can say when it was and give the day and the date. Or if you can get permission from them to use it, then you can put it in your own newsroom. But if you're running something that is copyrighted, you have to get their permission to do it. No, the question here is, do media prefer PDF press releases? Absolutely not. The media does not like PDF press releases. And PDF press releases, although Google is getting better at reading them, they're not as search friendly. You should definitely just keep your press releases in just ordinary text. Yes, Pressfeed is a hosted solution. The question was the back end that we saw, is it a hosted solution? Yeah. Pressfeed is a hosted newsroom, and we've set it up for you. It takes 2 weeks to set up, and it's up and running. The question on what size of video? Well, the question is from Erin. Erin, you don't have to have the most brilliant, perfect video anymore. It's not broadcast quality. It doesn't have to be. The ones that are getting the best results are well done, but not perfect. So some thought has gone into it. You've had a good cameraman, you've had a good editor, but it probably hasn't cost you an awful lot of money to do it. In general, keep them short. Some longer videos are being watched now, but then they have to be really good, interesting content. In general, 1 minute 30, not more than 2 minutes, would be my suggestion. So there's a question here, does Pressfeed integrate through the company's website? Yes, it absolutely does. As I've showed you, let me see if I can just show you, how would I do that? 1 second. No, it's not going to let me. Oh, yes, it is going to let me do it. All right, let me go over here. So if I were to go here to Now this one, where can I go to? Visit Newport Beach. Okay. So here, this connects straight back into your normal site. And on their site, where their media link is, will take you back to the newsroom. There we go. And it looks like it's on your site completely. Yes, absolutely. The question is, does the newsroom drive traffic to the site? In every case where we've installed this, within 3 to 4 months, these news feeds are becoming one of the top 10 drivers of traffic to the corporate site. Okay, so those are all my questions. And thanks very much for being with us today. And as soon as we have this link for the recording, we will definitely let you all know. And we will let you know what our next webinar is. We do one every month. So thanks very much. I appreciate you being with me this morning. And we'll see you next month.